Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have finalized their plans to form a confederation, officially marking their shift away from the former colonial ruler France and toward closer ties with Russia. The announcement came over the weekend after a meeting of the country's foreign ministers in Niger's capital, Niamey. The newly formed Confederation of the Alliance of Sahel States, that's AES, aims to institutionalize and operationalize a unified front to tackle the region's security and economic challenges. However, the formation of the Alliance of the Sahel States also raises questions about the future of the regional cooperation in West Africa. With Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger charting their way or their own course, the dynamics within ECOWAS and the broader West African region are likely to shift. So this is, of course, what we will be focusing on, the alliance of the Sahel and its impact on the ECOWAS. We have in the studio Dr. Abdulrahaman Abu Hamisu. He is a political scientist and a senior lecturer from the University of Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. I was saying last time we talked, it was via Zoom, so yeah. It's good to have you. So, Doctor, let's talk about this. They already gave the ECOWAS a warning that they were going to enter this confederation, and then right now it's already happening. What is your take on all of this situation?
Well, I think that if countries have the right of self-determination as enshrined in the United Nations Charter, that are giving people have a right to self-determination, and as a sovereign nation, that these countries reserve the right to do whatever they want to do, provided their actions are not threatening other nations, especially the neighboring nations. I think they have the right to choose to form their own alliance or to remain in the old one. I am not a fan of sticking to a thing, principle, or organization that is not serving your interest. If we agree again, as we're taught by the Western philosophers, that there are no permanent enemies, no permanent friends, but permanent interests. And we want to go along that line. I think they have the right to. So no matter how you look at it, they have the right to say, look, enough is enough, we want to chart a new course. For history is made by those that decide to think differently, act differently, and learn whatever lessons there are for them to learn. So I am not against that very particular experiment. After all, Europeans felt that the only way to their safety and security will be to have an European Union. And after a while, one of the countries that pushed towards that European Union was Britain. And Britain has a cost to vote to say that they are opting out of the Union. So there is no any golden age or golden thing before us as human beings. It is just endless experimentation. So what works, works. So what never works, you just discard it and move on.
Yeah, but we saw how the exit of these three countries, from the regional bloc, because it wasn't like a peaceful situation that just went on. There was a lot of drama, and the gap is a bit cold at the moment. So do you think, or do you have any fear of maybe future competition between these two groups, and how do you think that would impact in the hopeful, at least the unity of the West African region that we've been pushing, and Africa as a whole?
You see, there will be no basis for unity if our interests are not served. The purpose of ECOWAS is not to serve any other interest apart from the interests of Africans, in those that belong to the group. Over time, it was obvious, and still obvious, that ECOWAS and other regional organizations are used to serve other purposes other than the purpose they were established to serve. For instance, ECOWAS was established to foster cooperation and trade, free movements of goods and services across borders. And then before you know it, the charter was amended to include this dubious line that said your country must be a liberal democratic state before you join, which was not what the founding fathers envisaged. The founding fathers envisaged that West African countries needed to cooperate. And they did that when they were quite aware that there may be different forms of government in Africa. So they never cared about whether you have to be a liberal democracy or any other form of democracy. Come on, the democracy we're talking about is not even indigenous to us. We borrowed it. It was even imposed on us. So why should we make it a condition for free movement? Whether there is government or not, free movement of persons have been taking place across Africa before the colonialists came and petitioned us. The Trans-Sahara trade and so on and so forth predate even colonialism. So what are we talking about? It was something that was forced on us, because when the colonialists came and they petitioned Africa, every of them were trying to control their own territories that they are able to get from the Berlin Conference. So France was able to carve some part of Africa and held on to it. Britain did the same thing. And so those artificial borders stuck. And the languages they imposed, English, French, and so on and so on, stuck. And so because of the existence of these particular artificial boundaries that are constraining free flow of goods and services and persons, they decided to come together to say, look, we need to do more. We're African, so we need to at least ease movement of persons, goods and services, and then we can cooperate. So it was voluntary. It was not as if it was something that was forced on anybody. Now, if these persons decided that, look, the government of our country was not doing what they ought to do for the benefit of the people, and there are some sort of chaos and then conflict. And you know what? And I used to say it, we live in a society where the politicians create problems and then call the military to come and quell it, or call the security personnel to come and quell it. And now, those that will put their lives on the line are the military officials, not the politicians. And then the society will continue to blame the military for not doing more. And then they will continue to blame even the police for not doing more. So if and only if the military felt that they can restore sanity, and then they decided to take over power, it has happened in Nigeria. The constitution we're operating now was given to us by the military in 1999.
Yeah, but Doctor, so, I don't think we hope for that to happen.
You see, you can only hope that it shouldn't happen. And if you don't want it to happen, you can't wish them away. You have to do the right things. Now, people are talking about hunger. People are talking about poverty. People are saying we cannot pay our bills. The removal of the subsidy is impacting people negatively. Now, what that does is that, in as much as we are praying and we are wishing that it will not happen, if the condition that would predispose people to take certain action that will call out the military to take over power is not arrested from the very beginning, we can only hope and pray, but it will happen. What are we saying? That when you started reading the handwriting that the tide is going towards a specific direction, you don't underestimate the people and what they can do. You won't say nothing will happen. So you continue doing what you are doing and carry on as if you even if it is a dog, by the time you start attacking this dog constantly, a time will come that the dog will face you because it has been pushed to the wall, no escape route, so it will react. So in those countries, there were fundamental issues that led to the taking over of government by the military. What we expected of ECOWAS to have done was to go diplomatic, to ensure that there was dialogue, and peacefully these issues will be resolved. In every circumstances of conflict, you have two strategies that you could use. It's either you use diplomacy or you use threat and force. But it has been revealed over time that threat and force don't really work.
Indeed.
They don't really work.
Not in a country that wants to prove their sovereignty.
Yes, and that was exactly what happened between we and Niger, because we always underestimate what the Nigerian could do, and then we always feel that we are the big brothers, and then whatever we say, they should do it. Unfortunately for us, we met a set of people that understood the entire process, and they have a program they want to implement. And they said, look, go to hell. We're not going to. And then we're saying we're going to invade Niger, we're going to do this. And then we sent, later on, when it dawned down on us that we needed to go the way of diplomacy, we sent a lot of envoy. They refused to see any. Only very few they later saw, because their mind was made up. You see, when you have a unipolar world order and people are forced to conform to certain dictates, then there will be no room for maneuvering. But you live in a world that there is a global power shift from the Western Hemisphere to the Eastern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
And then you are now saying that you are threatening countries that have other options to really project themselves and their country. So you're not doing anything.
Let's talk about security now.
Yes.
These particular three countries are also facing massive insecurities.
Yes.
And one of the at least benefits from being in ECOWAS was, the relationship between the countries that share borders and fighting insecurities together. And you made mention earlier of trade, also businesses. So how do you think all of this would work with these two bodies where there is a lot of tension between them? Do you think that would work?
You see, you need to understand the environment we are talking about before we could really just oppose the benefit and cost of not belonging to ECOWAS. Researchers have shown that Africans do more trading with foreign countries outside Africa more than they do with themselves, because basically all of them are producing the same thing, primary products, unfinished primary products. So majority of them have oil. They don't sell oil to themselves, they sell to earn dollars to bring back to their countries to work with. So before they can take this decision, I bet you they would have weighed the pros and cons, the benefits, and so on and so forth. One of the benefits, as you rightly pointed out, is cooperating to defeat terrorism. And they'll be cooperating within ECOWAS, within AU, and then using other framework, bilateral, multilateral, with the Western world, and nothing has changed. So for me, it's a mark of insanity, as Thomas Sankara said, to continue to do the same thing over and over again, and you expect different results.
Speaking on expecting different results, what do you think the ECOWAS should do now?
You see, it is not about what ECOWAS should do, what those countries want to do.
No, I mean, we saw the drama that happened to the exit. So what should ECOWAS do in order for not at least to have a repeat of exactly what happened?
Of course, that is why there is lessons learned. If you know that the countries you are dealing with are not states, let's say a confederating unit within a nation, that okay, they are just subset or subunit within an entity, then you don't go ballistic by threatening a sovereign nation and a people that are determined to do what they want to do. That is the problem. You see, you don't fight somebody that is willing to die when you are not willing to die, because what is firing your own zeal is to fight and survive so that you can fight another day. And this person is not fighting to survive, he wants to fight to die. So what is firing your zeal and what is firing that person's zeal are quite different.
Two different things.
Now, these countries are determined to say, look, we want to change the course of history in our nation. We don't want business as usual. We want to change things. And in trying to do that, these are the things that we want to do. Now, you said you are faulting them because they decided to take over power. When their own people are not complaining, when their people are on the street, they are celebrating that the military has come to rescue them. That is one problem. If governance is about the people and it's not about the organization, you know, there is always a problem that used to arise when you join an organization. If you're not careful, you lose sight of the primary responsibility that you're supposed to perform as a government, and then you'll be chasing the goals and aspiration of the organization that you've joined.
Yeah, understand that.
You have to manage both to ensure. And then when it comes to taking a decision, between working for the people and abiding by the goals of the organization that may not reflect on the lives of the people, even yours sincerely that is seated here will choose to work for the people, because power is from the people. So if ECOWAS actually want to do anything differently, I think they should learn not to, one, impose. 2, threaten. Even me, I have a problem. If you threaten me, I will close my heart and I will tell you, go to hell and do your worst.
We already agree that the threat did not work, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But due to time, Doctor, we have to put a stop to the segment.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. We'll just have to wait and see how the Sahel Alliance, thrive in their new journey. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Abdulrahaman Abu Hamisu, political scientist and senior lecturer from the University of Abuja. Appreciate
senior
it.
Lecturer.
Well, we pray that you get there then.
Amen.
And with that, of course, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, it would be time to dissect the front pages of the National Daily. So stay with us.